Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Christmas in July continues, and today's video features products from scrapbook.com. Here are the main products I'll be using on my cards. The gingerbread pattern paper. I have two different word die sets. Happy Holidays 2 has Happy Holidays and Merry Christmas. And also Holiday Banner Set 2 has two sentiments, Happy Holidays and Fa La 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 La. I'll also be using some rub-ons. I have the Snowflakes black and white, Polka dots black and white, and later on in the video I do bring in one other rub-on set from scrapbook.com. And I will have all of the products linked in the description box below. So let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. I selected two pattern papers from the Gingerbread collection. For the background I have the red with pink font of Ho Ho Ho. For the strip that goes across the card, features lots of cute gingerbread men and girls, and also some hearts. I'll layer the gingerbread paper on some gold mirror paper, and this is part of scrapbook.com's holographic mirror paper pad. I'll layer the Ho 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 pattern paper on some solid pink cardstock, and this pink color is part of scrapbook.com's peppermint paper pad. Then I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Now I'll add the gingerbread man and women pattern paper strip at the bottom. The adhesive I'm using is scrapbook.com's deluxe adhesive roller. For an image on my card, I'll be adding a little gingerbread man, and this die is part of scrapbook.com's gingerbread cookies die set. I used the brown solid pattern paper from the gingerbread paper pad, and I'm adding just a little extra ink along the outside edge of the cookie. The ink color is Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. I've already gone ahead and cut out the rest of the die cut pieces for the gingerbread man, and I have them stored in one of scrapbook.com's stack and sort trays. This is the smaller size. For the frosting squiggles, the eyes, the mouth, and the buttons, I use some white pearlescent cardstock from Spellbinders. The red hat and bow tie are solid pattern paper from the gingerbread paper pad. And for the fluff on the hat, I use some white glitter cardstock from Spellbinders. Lots of teeny tiny pieces, so I am using a pair of reverse tweezers. I'm also using scrapbook.com's Artiste glue, and I have the ultra fine metal tip on my bottle. Makes it really easy to get behind those teeny tiny die cut pieces. I'll adhere the glitter fluff pieces on the Santa hat, and for now I'll flip it over, let that glue dry a little bit. Then I'll add the red bow tie. Next I'll adhere the gingerbread man smile. Now put a little bit of glue at the very bottom of the hat and adhere it on the gingerbread man. And I'm putting it at a slight angle. For the final pieces, the eyes and the buttons, these are super tiny. I'll first add a drop of Artiste glue. Then I'll pick up the tiny die cut pieces using scrapbook.com's Craft Pro Pick tool, and I'm using the wax tip end. I'm starting with the eyes, and before that glue dries completely, I'll use the end of my tweezers to adjust the placement of the eyes. Now I'll add 3 tiny drops of Artiste glue for the 3 buttons. Just press those down using my tweezers. So there is the adorable gingerbread man. Now I'll start working on the sentiment. I'll be adding Happy Holidays using the Holidays Banners 2 die set. I want a slightly darker red color for the letters, but I didn't have just the right red color, so instead I'm using some red ink from Catherine Pooler. This is the Rouge color. And I'll just swipe the ink pad across some white cardstock. Now I'll let that dry for just a little bit before cutting out the letters. While I wait for that to dry, I'll grab a piece of pink smooth cardstock. And this color is part of the Sprinkle Smooth cardstock paper pad. With a pair of scissors, I'll trim out just a small piece of the white snowflake rub-ons. Just need it big enough to fit on this pink panel. The rub-on sets do include a popsicle stick for you to transfer the images, but you can also use your die cut machine. I pulled out my Platinum Scout die cut machine, and this is the rose quartz color that's only available at scrapbook.com. The sandwich you need for the rub-ons is the same as the die cuts. So A, B, and 2 of C, which are the cutting plates. And I like to use brand new cutting plates when doing the rub-ons. I did run it through the machine 3 times. Wanted to make sure there was plenty of pressure. Then very carefully I'll pull back the rub-on sheet. You can see all of the snowflakes transferred beautifully. I always do it slowly in case there are areas that didn't fully transfer. Then I'll just grab the popsicle stick and give it a little extra pressure. Now I'll use one of scrapbook.com's nested circle dies. Run it through my Platinum Scout machine again. This time I grabbed one of the used acrylic plates. So now I have this fun pink circle with white snowflakes, and it'll be perfect to put my little gingerbread man on. Now it's time to cut out the sentiment since the red ink has dried. I'll use some of scrapbook.com's mint tape to adhere the 2 dies. Then I'll run it through my Platinum Scout machine. And I did trim down this panel so it was small enough to fit through the Platinum Scout machine, since the plate is about 3.5 inches wide. Set aside my machine, grab the stack and sort tray, and I'll pop out all of the letters from the die. I'm using the Craft Pro Pick tool, this time the piercing tip. If you weren't aware, the Craft Pro Pick tool actually has 4 tools in one. I use the wax tip and piercing tool the most. So once I have all of the letters popped out, I'll grab the outline banner piece, and one by one I'll adhere all of the letters onto that background piece. It doesn't matter what order you adhere all the letters down, they all have that perfect little outline. So you'll see the nice red letter and the white outline around it, plus the little banner string. I'm using my reverse tweezers and Artiste glue to adhere all of those letters. And the small white mat I'm using to do all of the gluing, it was originally a 12 by 12 size. This is scrapbook.com's white silicone mat. It's their project grip mat. I trimmed off about 1/4 of it and it fits so nicely on my desk. I do some ink blending on it and also gluing all those die cut pieces. That way I'm not getting all of the glue on my workspace mat. It's much easier to clean up the glue and adhesive off the silicone mat versus my workspace mat. Scrapbook.com always has amazing sales and freebies, and I believe I received this mat as a freebie at one point, so I had no problem trimming it down. But I actually have a second one, a full 12 by 12 size. And if you want to check out Scrapbook.com's current deals, I do have a link in the description box. So there are my 2 sentiment banners all adhered. I'll pop them back in the stack and sort tray. Now I'll pull out the pink and white snowflake circle. And since I did cut this out of pattern paper, I'm adding another circle underneath, and I cut this out from some solid white cardstock. I'll adhere the 2 circles together, and this just gives it a little more stability and also adds just a tiny bit of dimension. I'll put glue on the back and adhere the circle on the left side of the card. Next, I'll grab the Gingerbread Man die cut image. I'll flip it over, put foam dimension on the back, and I'm using the small foam squares in the 1 millimeter thickness. Made sure to get good coverage on the back, and I'll adhere the gingerbread man on the pink white snowflake circle. Now I'll add the sentiment banners in the upper right hand corner, and the very end strings will go off the edge of the card. Not going to worry about that yet. Put glue on the back, adhere the word happy down first, then I'll put holidays underneath. Press down firmly to make sure that glue all adheres, and I'll let that sit for just a moment. In my stack and sort tray, I have this tiny little snowflake starburst image. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's part of Scrapbook.com's Winter Wishes die set. I cut it out from some white pearlescent cardstock. I will be popping it up with foam dimension. Since it's so small, I did need to cut the small square in half. I'll remove the release paper and add the little snowflake piece on the left side of the gingerbread image. Now I'll flip over the card, and using a pair of scissors, I'll trim off the overhang of the banner strings. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding some pink jewels, and these are from Pink Fresh Studio. It's the Ballet slipper color. I'll put 2 in the upper right hand corner, 1 in the center of that little snowflake piece, 2 more jewels on the left side of the card. I'll first add a small drop of artiste glue, pick up the jewels using the wax tip end of the Craft Pro Pick tool, then press the jewels in place. So there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out, and I did make 2 using this design. For card design number 2, I'll start off by using the white polka dot rub-on transfer, and I'm adding it on some of the dark green solid pattern paper. I'll run it through my Platinum Scout machine 3 times to make sure to get even pressure. Now very slowly I'll remove the backing. You can see all those polka dots transferred beautifully. I love this technique with rub-ons, although sometimes I will still use the popsicle stick. For the background pattern paper, selected this fun design with lots of cookie present images. I'll layer it on some of the brown solid pattern paper, and these are both from the Gingerbread paper pad. I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. Next, I'll add a large red banner using more of the solid pattern paper. With a pair of scissors, I'll cut a fishtail on the bottom. Put some of the deluxe adhesive on the back and adhere the red banner on the right side of the card. Now I'll put adhesive on the back of the green piece with white polka dots and adhere it on the red banner. Trying to make sure to get it evenly spaced on the right and left side. And once I was ready to push it down, I accidentally dropped it, so I had to try again. Now I'll grab the stack and sort tray that has all the die cut pieces I'll be adding on the card, starting with the sentiment Merry Christmas, and this is part of the Happy Holidays set number 2. I used some light green smooth cardstock for the word Merry Christmas, and this is part of Scrapbook.com's floral paper pad. For the first outline piece, I'm using some white pearlescent cardstock. The word Christmas is in 4 pieces. So it has Chris as 1, TM, AS, and then the dot for the I. It's still really easy to line up with the outline. The word Merry is all 1 piece. I used my reverse tweezers to hold all those die cut pieces, but for the dot of the I did use the Craft Pro Pick tool. I cut out a second outline piece, this time from some silver holographic paper. Then I'll adhere the 2 pieces together, so now I have this beautiful sparkly drop shadow behind the sentiment. I will pop up the sentiment using foam dimension from Scrapbook.com. This is their 1/4 inch roll in the 1mm thickness. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the sentiment on the green and white polka dot panel. I cut out 3 small circles from the brown pattern paper, and inside each of the circles I'll be adding one of the white snowflake rub-ons. I'll select the 3 snowflakes that will fit inside. And I could use the die cut machine, but I thought this time I would use the popsicle stick, showing the different options. With such a small image, it's very easy to transfer it onto the die cut piece. I'll slowly remove that cover piece, checking to see if any areas didn't fully transfer. For the 2 smaller snowflakes, I had no problems at all. There were a couple areas on the larger snowflake, but I simply went back over those areas with the popsicle stick. I love this snowflake rub-on design. You could cut out a large piece and have it for the background of your card, or you could do like I'm doing and just cut out a few of the individual snowflakes. So even though my sheet is all cut apart, I'll still get a lot of use out of it. Now I'll flip over the 3 circles, and I will be popping them up with more foam dimension. This time I'm using the large rounds foam from scrapbook.com, also in the 1mm thickness. Their 1mm foam is my favorite. It adds just the right amount of dimension without a lot of bulk. Now remove the release paper, put the larger circle and one of the smaller circles in the upper left-hand corner above the sentiment, and 1 snowflake underneath the sentiment in the lower right-hand corner. For embellishments, I'm using some of Spellbinder's dimensional dots. This is the red and green set. I'll add 3 of the red dots in the upper left-hand corner and 2 in the lower right-hand corner. Now moving on to card design number 3. I'm using one of my favorite pattern papers from the Gingerbread collection. It has a bunch of pink and brown cookie trees. And I cut out this panel using the stitch torn rectangle dies from Pretty Pink Posh. I used the largest size. I'll be layering it on some of the red solid pattern paper. I used some of the deluxe adhesive on the back side and also some artiste glue along that stitched edge. I'll put more adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, and I will place a large acrylic block on top for some added weight, and that'll help that stitch edge lay nice and flat. Next, I'll add a piece of the brown solid pattern paper, and this piece is 4 1/4 of an inch by 2.5 inches. And on this panel, I'll be adding some of the vintage script silver rub-ons. I selected one of the music sheet designs. I'll cut this piece down, so there'll be, I think, about 5 of the music lines on the left side and 2 on the right side. And I'll just quickly transfer those images using the popsicle stick. If there are areas that don't completely transfer, I'm really not worried about it. I'll gently apply pressure, slowly peel back that top piece. Now I'll do the same thing for the other area with the music sheet rub-on. I also selected one of the script pieces. You really can't read it. And I'm filling in some of those blank areas in the upper right-hand corner and lower left-hand corner. I don't want that script to go all the way to the edge, so I'm only transferring part of that script down. And I'll use that same piece in both of the corners. Since the music sheet wasn't wide enough to go all the way across this panel, I just wanted to fill in those 2 little blank areas. Now I'll add a little extra ink just on the top and bottom edges using the same Distress Oxide Vintage Photo ink color. This is the one I used on the Gingerbread Man. Now since this is a metallic rub-on with that beautiful silver foiling, when you add ink on top of it, it does take away some of that shine. But for this card, I really like that look. Gives it more of that vintage style. Now I'll layer this brown panel on some pink smooth cardstock from scrapbook.com. I'll put deluxe adhesive on the back and add my music note panel on the center of the card. Just to save time on the video, I've already assembled the sentiment. Fa la la is the first banner and la 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 is the second banner. And I guess I could have cut out one more with the la la la's to finish out the song, but I think it still works with just the two sentiment banners. I'll put artiste glue on the back and adhere the two sentiment banners on the rub-on brown panel. And to help get the banners nice and straight, I'm looking at the end of the string on the right and left side and trying to adhere them at about the same placement. Now I'll add the second banner underneath, doing the same thing, trying to make sure that spacing is about even. And I will place a large acrylic block on top for some added weight while the glue dries, since I am adhering it on that rub-on surface. I will be adding a red bow, and this bow is from scrapbook.com's Bow Toppers die set. This is an awesome set with a fun variety of different bows. I cut it out from the red solid pattern paper, and I will pop it up using some of the small foam squares in the 1mm thickness. I'll remove the release paper and add the bow right above the sentiment. For a final finishing touch, I'll add an enamel sticker in the center of the bow. This is Honeybee Stamp's Crystal Glimmer set. So there is my finished card, and I did make two using this design. I love how this card turned out. The pink, red, and brown colors look so pretty together. Now here's another look at the 6 cards I made using a variety of scrapbook.com Christmas products. I used the gingerbread pattern paper, several different rub-on sets, and also lots of fun die sets. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. It's been so fun getting an early start on my Christmas cards during Christmas in July. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.